Just to introduce myself really quick, my name is Keith Hines. I'm a campus recruiter for an accounting firm called Penn. I've been with the firm for about 1.5 years now. I've been campus recruiting there. Prior to that, I actually worked for another public accounting firm, did campus recruiting for about 4 years there. So pretty much ever since I graduated, I've been doing campus recruiting. Today we're going to talk about LinkedIn. Hopefully, I can give you guys a few pointers, a few tips that'll, help you with your LinkedIn, help you to make some connections, and use LinkedIn effectively. So just to kind of give me an idea of where everyone is, and as far as like grade, and who's a freshman? Oh crap! Okay, sophomores, juniors, seniors. 1, 2. All right, great. All right, awesome. All right, sounds good. So we got a lot of freshmen in the room. So who has a LinkedIn in here? Almost everyone. Okay. All right, so some of this might seem pretty basic, pretty repetitive. I'll try to go through that stuff a little bit quicker. If you have questions, just ask me during this. I want to keep it kind of as informal and conversational as possible. I want you guys to actually get something out of this. So if we go off topic on something that's actually beneficial for you guys, we can do that, okay? So make your LinkedIn profile pop. All right, so what is LinkedIn? Again, super basic. You guys know this, a professional social media platform. A tool used to communicate with individuals, companies, other organizations. Everyone kind of knows you guys have been using it. The main components of LinkedIn, so you have your homepage, which is like your newsfeed, right, where you see everything coming in, your profile itself, other profiles and activities, companies, groups, pages. So again, all of this stuff I think is pretty standard. I don't think this is surprising to anybody, right? Everyone knows what LinkedIn is, what you can get out of it. All right, so we're going to kind of walk through two main topics. The first one being actually building your profile to make it kind of stand out, okay? And then we'll also talk about making connections on LinkedIn, which is also really important. And I know something I get a lot of questions about when I'm doing like networking presentations and things. So we'll talk about how to make connections as well. So that'll kind of be the next part. So building your profile, obviously make sure your picture is professional. What's everyone's majors in here? Are you guys all part of, are you like business management, accounting, marketing, finance? Yeah, kind of all those in that general realm. Okay, so all of your photos should definitely be business professional. Okay, I was gonna say if you're like in the arts or like maybe marketing, photography, something like that. It's okay for it to be a little bit more creative. But if you guys are business majors, it should be a professional headshot. You don't have to go somewhere to get it done. My company paid for it at one point, so I did that. But have your friend take their iPhone, stand up against a blank wall, and take a headshot. Don't make it a selfie. Don't try to be creative or anything like that. Just make it professional, okay? I still see it. People using pictures that they really shouldn't be using. So keep that in mind. The tagline. Do you guys know what the tagline is on your LinkedIn?
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone want to share an example of one?
I can go. It's like I usually put my major, so I put like finance and statistics, and then SMEAL College of Business.
Okay. Yeah.
Would it be okay if you just wrote like student at Penn State University and then like a dash and then what college you're in?
So I would almost go more that way. I think as a student, you should have in your tagline your major. And I think, and I would say like accounting, SMEAL school business as like your tagline. I think it should be simple. Again, you guys are all like in a very professional realm as far as like what your majors are and things like that. Sometimes like once you get a job and everything, like, people will start to be a little bit more creative, like with what they're saying. But for you guys as students, I think it's important to know what your major is, right? Because we're looking for that as recruiters and people are interested in it. So I would probably put that first. So like accounting major at SMEAL or finance major at SMEAL. I think it's important to have Penn State or SMEAL in it because people know who that is, what that is. I mean, I didn't go to Penn State. Obviously, I do like recruiting here, but I had heard about SMEAL school. Everyone knows what it is. So having that in there, I think, draws some attention to it. How about summary? Everyone know where the summary is? Who has a summary on their LinkedIn? 1, 2. I don't have a summary. I recommend you guys having one. So summary, the way I look at it, is like a very abbreviated version of like a cover letter. Okay, so it should be like a paragraph or so that's just kind of giving a quick, little bit more insight into who you are. And that's why I compare it to a cover letter, because it's supposed to be, kind of what you don't see on your resume, right? So it's supposed to give whoever's looking at your LinkedIn a brief summary of who you are as a person, okay? Experiences and bullets from your resume. So, for this, treat your LinkedIn profile page as if it were your resume. I steer away from using bullet points on LinkedIn because I think LinkedIn is a place that you could actually be a little bit more creative. I kind of take my bullets and make them into just a brief paragraph, a few sentences describing what I did versus laying everything out in a bullet format. Again, I think LinkedIn's a place where if someone's not going to mind reading a little bit more into it, it's okay if it's a little bit more creative. Whereas your resume, people are, kind of flying through that real quick, right? So they like to see, those precise bullet points. I don't think you necessarily need to do that on LinkedIn. If it's easier for you, you can, but it's an opportunity for you to go into a little bit more detail. And then obviously your education information. We want to know, obviously, where you go to school, any activities, clubs, organizations that you're in. Make sure you're including all of that on your LinkedIn profile. Any questions on this stuff? I mean, I think it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard, pretty basic stuff. It seems like the majority of you are kind of nodding, like, yep, we got that on our LinkedIn, right? This summary, it seemed to be like the only thing you guys might be missing. I would definitely recommend you having something there. Again, it's an opportunity to tell a little bit more about you. I always tell students, if we don't meet you on campus, the only thing we know about you is what we can see on this one little sheet that's called your resume. All right, this is a chance for you to tell us a little bit more about you, so you might as well. Any questions on any of this? All right, so a little bit more. Some other things that, I don't know, you guys might be aware of. Some of us, you guys are probably more tech savvy than I am. But there's a place, so we'll start with obviously the email notifications, okay? So the way mine's set up, I have like a LinkedIn app on my phone. Do you guys have LinkedIn on, like the app? Okay, majority of you do. I hate getting a ton of notifications from LinkedIn. So I have it set up that my email, the only time I get an email from LinkedIn is when I get a message on LinkedIn. I would definitely recommend you having it set up that way. The reason for that is if someone's messaging you, they're really trying to get in contact with you. I'm somebody that checks my emails pretty frequently. I recommend all of you do, especially once you start applying for jobs and stuff. So if someone's trying to reach out to you, having that message go to your email, I think is a really good idea and a way for you not to miss anything or keep somebody waiting for too long. the rest of the notifications, as far as like if someone posted something new or you got a connection request, I kind of just leave that as something that'll pop up like on my app, but I don't have them sending me an email. That's completely up to you, but make sure you take a look into that. And like I said, I definitely recommend your messages going through to your email. Customize your profile URL. Does everyone know what I'm talking about with this? Okay, so you have the ability to adjust your URL to make it specific to you. So mine's like www.linkedin.com/khines. Okay, so it's something short. I would recommend don't make it anything inappropriate, silly. Just have your name. Mine's my initial, my first name, initial, and last name. Something easy, but what it allows you to do, and kind of going down to the next point, is when you're looking to share your URL so that people can connect with you, it makes it a little bit cleaner, because if you don't do it, your URL goes on forever, right? So by adjusting it and customizing it, it allows you to make it a little bit shorter and it's specific to you. Okay, so definitely look into doing that if you haven't, especially if you're going to be someone that's sharing it. So sharing your LinkedIn profile. So I always go back and forth on this as far as having it on your resume. As a campus recruiter who looks at 1 million resumes, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not going to look at your LinkedIn. Okay, just being completely honest with you. I guess if I was like really curious for some reason, I might, but I'm looking through hundreds of resumes. I'm probably not going to look at it. If you have it on your resume, you make sure you're happy with what's on your LinkedIn. Okay, because if somebody does decide to go and it's like halfway completed, or you don't have a professional photo, like that's not going to look good. So if you're gonna have it on your resume, make sure it's up to date, make sure it's professional, and just assume people are gonna look at it. Okay. I would say the same thing with email signatures, putting it on Twitter, professional websites, business cards, things like that. We'll talk about other social media things later on in the presentation here. I don't know if I would spread my LinkedIn through Twitter, I guess, unless your Twitter is like super professional, which I would imagine probably isn't. I was in college at one point. I wanted professionals to stay as far away from my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all of that as possible. I never tried to mix the two. I don't see any reason why you really need to put your LinkedIn on Twitter. I would try to keep the two separate, in my opinion. But if you want to, feel free to do it. Also then request recommendations from supervisors, coworkers. Does anyone have recommendations on their LinkedIn? Does anyone know what I mean by that? So essentially it's like where you can ask someone you've worked with, I would recommend asking like a supervisor, and they're able to put, a comment about different skills that you have. It's almost like a letter of recommendation, but a really condensed version of it. So it's something that can help build your profile up. Something I would look into, especially if you get freshmen, start looking for internship jobs. It does help to build out your profile a little bit more. And obviously it's nice to have people saying good things about you when other employers are looking to hire you. Look for articles that you can share or post. Connect with groups. And there's a million different types of groups you can connect with. We'll talk about like an alumni group a little bit later on. Connect with companies and organizations as well. And then you're also able to add skills. So you can add skills. People can actually recommend skills for you. So take advantage of those extra things you can do to your profile to make it really stand out and make it all about you. Okay. So that's basically building out your profile. I feel like I'm flying through this, but I also only have until like 5:30, and I'm gonna try to stick to that so you guys can get the heck out of it. Any questions on building out your profile though? I think a lot of this stuff is pretty basic. I think a lot of you guys probably are aware of this. I don't typically get asked a lot of questions about building out your profile. What I get asked a lot of questions about is making connections. When it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, who should I be connecting with, who shouldn't I be connecting with. So we're gonna go over that. So definitely start with the people that you know, okay? And don't start connecting with people until you're happy with your profile. Okay, don't start connecting people when it's only halfway done, or you don't have a professional picture up. So take your time, wait for that, and then start connecting with people. Friends and family are obviously a great place to start. One thing I always talk to students about is that you never really think about what your friends' parents did until you start looking for a job, right? But obviously those are some easy connections that you can make real quick. So think about that. You never really think about what your aunts and uncles do until it's time looking for an internship. So start there. You have a great resource base right here at Penn State. Your classmates, those are obviously great people to start connecting with. Professors, advisors. A lot of your professors, especially in the business world, have worked in like the professional industry prior. So chances are they have a lot of good connections with them as well. Co-workers, any mentors that you guys have, and then professionals that you meet at different development events, a LinkedIn workshop, or somebody you meet at an info table or a career fair. Definitely feel free to connect them. So starting with the people you know, start to build that connection base. And then the most common question I get is, why do we connect with people that we don't know? How do we go about doing that? So when you're, connecting with people you don't know, it should not be with the mentality that you're going to be asking them for a job, okay? Don't go in with that mentality, all right? You want to connect with more and more people so that you have more and more resources to use to connect with other people, right? So it's like network. Maybe connect with people that are new coworkers or group members you intend to meet in person soon. So if you just joined a company, oftentimes when you add that to your LinkedIn, it'll suggest people for you to connect with. So maybe with some partners that are on the audit practice with you, and you likely will be working with them soon. So you want to connect with them, maybe get to know them a little bit before you spend some time with them. Okay. You want to ask about their experiences, get insight, advice from them. If you're starting with coworkers, what it's like to work at their company, how to get involved, while you're there, what is their career job like in their career, okay? So those are some of the reasons why you would want to connect with people that you don't know. It's obviously going to be beneficial for you. And actually doing it, okay? So when you're requesting to connect with people that you don't know, definitely be prepared to tell them why you're connecting with them. If you have never met the person, you should always, when you're connecting with them, include a message explaining why you're connecting with them. For example, I saw that you worked at Cone Resnick. You're really interested in learning more about, what a career could look like there. Would you mind if we connected? It doesn't have to be, super long, but make it personalized to that person, make it professional, and definitely start with that. Always use a personalized message. If there's any connections that you might have, maybe you could say, oh, I met with, Keith at a career fair. you know, he mentioned that I should reach out to you because, you know, you have the same career path that I do, or you work in an industry that I'm really interested in working in. So if you have a connection, use that and let them know that's how you got, you know, kind of got pointed into into the direction of their profile. You know, obviously tell them what you'd like to connect about, and always please be professional with it. Okay. Any questions on adding people that you've never met? This is like always the #1 question that I get from students when we're talking about like networking and LinkedIn and stuff. Any questions on what to do? Has anyone done this where they're connecting with people that they haven't met before? Yeah, no one else. Everyone's sticking to who they know. So, I mean, that's always the safe bet for sure. I think a lot of you guys are still early on in college and, you know, going into your professional career where you probably haven't really had to. You know, I always use the story, you know, connect with purpose. So I've had, not at this school, another school, I've had a student who actually reached out to like just 20 random people like on resume, and 20 might be like a low number. And he was like looking to connect with them and talk to them about like potential job opportunities. And since I'm the campus recruiter, I had 5 people forward me the same exact LinkedIn message from the one student. Now, none of them knew that he had connected with these other people, but everyone's sending them to me. So I'm like, wow, this kid is out of control. You know, connect with a purpose. Don't just blanket try to connect with everybody at a firm or a company you're interested in. When he reached out to the CEO of our firm, I would try to stay away from that unless somehow you have another connection with him. A good place to start for, you know, if you're trying to make some type of connection at a company or a firm that you're interested in is the campus recruiter, alumni who work there and maybe a little bit more of a junior level or capacity. You know, I don't know if my first point of contact, reaching out to somebody I don't know on LinkedIn would be like a partner at a firm. I'd probably reach out to somebody who's maybe, you know, a senior or a manager, like a little bit lower in level, just to kind of build on that relationship and then see if like they can connect you to, you know, the partner. I don't know if I would just reach out to the partner, CEO, president, CFO, you know, those higher level, you know, management roles, right? Any questions? Any other questions on adding people you don't know or just adding people in general who you should connect with? So the alumni tool. So if you guys aren't connected to Penn State's alumni group, you really should be. You guys are extremely fortunate. I didn't go to Penn State. I'm not an alum. You won't see me on there. I went to a school that I graduated with 500 people in my class. Okay, so my school had like 2,400 people. You guys go to school that have like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. They're all Penn State alumni. They all love Penn State. I have never met a Penn State alumni that didn't love Penn State and love helping out Penn State students. You guys have a great alumni base. Use that to your advantage. You know, it's not cheating. You know, it's not, you know, there's no negative connotation with you using your resources to get connected with people in positions that you want to have. Use it to your advantage. Penn State, like I said, Penn State alumni are passionate about Penn State. I always like to make fun of it, but it's a great thing for you guys. It really is.
Now, can we connect to alumni groups since when we are a student, or should we wait for graduation?
So I believe you are able to follow the group as a student. Okay, so you should be fine doing that. There could be, that's a good question. You should be able to, and if not, you can at least see who's in it if you're not able to actually be a part of it. Again, though, be mindful. Don't just reach out to everybody in the Penn State alumni. You know, maybe there's someone working at a company that you're interested in working at. Make the connection. Hey, my name is, you know, Keith. currently a sophomore at Penn State. I saw that you worked at Google. I'm really interested in learning more about the company. Can I get on the phone with you for 10 minutes to talk about it? As simple as that, be professional. Don't come off like you're asking for a job. Just wanting some additional information is a easy way to kind of start that conversation. And you go from there, okay? So, use the alumni base to your advantage. And take, definitely take a look at this if you're not connected to it already. It'll definitely be helpful in the long run, and it'll be helpful after you leave Penn State, okay? I'm sure there's not a company out there that you can think of that probably doesn't have one or two Penn State people at it. We have a ton at our firm. So, along with that, so this kind of goes to what I said about like the introduction that you're making, right? You're not asking people for a job. You're not, asking them to set up an interview for you. You're asking them for a little bit of their time. And that's kind of what we would call an informal interview, right? So you're really trying to find out more about them specifically or the company, not necessarily about a job, okay? So tailor your conversation to that. In the notes here, your primary purpose is to get firsthand insight about profession, company, and potential career path. Establish that connection with them. You don't want your first interaction to them to be having them feel like you just want something out of them. They'll think that's kind of rude. They might come off a little bit standoffish if you want to, continue the conversation later on. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're able to set up some time with people, usually, unless I've just been really fortunate, but I would imagine for you guys it'll be the same. If you ask somebody for a few minutes of their time to get on a phone with you, it might not be that day, but I'm sure they'll find time to connect with you. But you better be prepared for that conversation. Don't waste their time. Go in with questions prepared. Go in with an idea of what you want to discuss and what you want to get out of it, so that they don't feel like you're wasting their time. It's often over the phone. I would recommend that. Unless that person is like, oh, well, I'm around the corner of State College, which no one is ever, right? So, I would recommend, unless they kind of push like, oh, let's meet in person and let's grab a coffee, I would recommend you guys to just suggest a phone call, especially as like your first interaction. So before I go into the other social medias, I'm trying to stay on time. We started like 5 minutes late, so. The other question I get all the time is it appropriate after a career fair or like after you guys see me here today to like connect with the person on LinkedIn? So if you're at a career fair or it's a presentation or whatever it is, and you have the chance to talk to them, you could ask them during that, like, hey, do you mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn, or is it better for me to just reach out via email? People will tell you their preference. I think people are really open to you adding them on LinkedIn. It's not a big deal to have like more connections. Like no one's like typically says, oh no, I don't want any more connections. So I would ask them. If you go to a career fair, you don't get a chance to ask them, but you met them and you're like, oh, I'd really like to add them on LinkedIn. Treat that as if you never met the person, okay? So message them, with trying to connect with them, message them, have a professional message for them, because they likely met 500 other students at the career fair. So, even though you met them, don't just send them a random connection. Treat it as if you never met them, okay? Because, those are the students that I actually remember, is when they're like, oh yeah, we met at the, I met you at the career fair, we talked about X, Y, Z, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. If some student just sends me a connection, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not Last thing, other social media sites. I mean, I talked about this a little already. So a lot of companies and firms, organizations all have Instagrams now, they all have Facebooks now, they all have Twitters. Some of them, I guess, are on Snapchat. We're not on Snapchat. And I don't want to sound like your parents because I'm not your parents, but be smart about this. You know, if you're going to be connecting with companies on those, make sure your profiles are private. Okay, don't even take the risk. It doesn't have to be something that you posted. It could be something you were tagged in. You know, so make sure all of your social media is private if you're going to start connecting with companies. I would also recommend that if a company tries to follow you, don't let them follow you. I think that's weird anyway. I don't think companies should be asking to follow you on those. But if you're following them, they can obviously look at your stuff if it's not private. So just kind of keep that in mind, that if you use these resources to follow companies, which I think you should, because companies do put out good content on other social media platforms, but I would just make sure your stuff is private. I use and always recommend students to look at the company's social media platforms. They often put a lot of the fun stuff they're doing, the stuff that's not necessarily business related. You can kind of learn a little bit more about the culture on these other platforms. So definitely follow them. Just make sure you're private. Any questions on that? And I stuck to time. I have a really bad problem with talking too much. So, any questions? There's no questions. Anyone learn anything? Oh, only one hand. All right. So, yeah, I flew through that, but everybody should have a LinkedIn. It looks like you guys all have one. Spend a night. Take some time, actually work on making it as professional as possible. It's not something that needs to be updated every day, so if you really just kind of designate a couple hours to making it look good, it'll be good for probably another year before you have a new job or new experiences that you need to add. So take the time to do that. If you have any questions, I'll hang around for a little bit. I have business cards up here if you guys want to email me too. You can all add me on LinkedIn. You can tell me that you met me here. All right.